Penultimate day of the Skoda Tour of Luxembourg. We're ready for the time trial and to celebrate a special anniversary down in Pittange, the local cycling club, having its centenary this year. The race paying its own tribute and a test that will need to be passed today by the GC favourites. Yesterday it was all about the climbs for those general classification favourites. A stage scrap up for grabs. A rainbow but no world champ. He's off racing elsewhere. There was, though, the champ of the breakaways. Bastien Tronchon for the second day running. And he survived very deep into the affair. 3 laps around a beautiful castle. And Viande will be the venue for this attack. 33.5 kilometres from the finish line from Ben Healy. We've seen him do it before, and he was to do it again. Riding away from Tronchon with a gap of almost a minute. The peloton just couldn't bring him back. That despite the late attempts from the likes of Mark Hirschi and Dylan Teuns. The hellish conditions got better. Healy came into sight, but he'd soon disappear out the way again. There's a scare for Teuns. He was okay though, as was Healy, doing a Ben Healy. When he wins like this, and in style. And the Irish national champion is the leader of a stage race for the first time in his short career to date. Mike Hirschi, national champion of Switzerland, finished second, and it was a third place for the Belgian Dylan Teuns. Delight for Ben Healy. A big win for EF Education Easy Post. A man who has really turned up and competed with the big boys in 2023. He's one of them now. Healy, a Grand Tour stage winner early this year, and for the first time now, he's the leader in a stage race. This is his lead, 19 seconds over Hirschi, 24 in front of Teuns, 43 to the 4th place. Søren Krause had a good week. He lost the yellow jersey yesterday. However, he is the points classification leader now. And he's got a strong 16-point lead on his closest challengers, who are Healy, Strong and Beermans, stage winners so far. And what a week it's been for Mats Wenzel. One more day to survive tomorrow in the King of the Mountains jersey. He has a nice 14-point cushion. Healy, of course, by virtue of his age, is also the man in charge of the white jersey. The best young rider of the race. Today that'll be on the back of Mark Hirschi. Today though, it's all about the race against the clock. It's cooling down slightly in Luxembourg, from just over 20 degrees at the start of the week to 15 today. Bit of wind about, not too much though, 16 kilometres per hour from the southwest. A start and finish, 24 kilometres of time trialling around the town of Pittange. Let's take a look at the route for you, shall we? 231 metres to be climbed over the course of the 23.9 kilometre route. A couple of time checks for us to tell the story, which is nice. And we start outside the church. We'll finish in front of the town hall. Main time check coming at the top of the main climb. This is one that the specialists should enjoy. We'll have a look at the nature of the roads, but there weren't too many mega twists and turns. This is Tom Wirtjen. Now, of course, riding for a third division team, it's always difficult, isn't it, in the time trial? So much research and development, money that goes into the thing as well. Wind tunnel testing. They're really up against it, having time trials when you have to compete against world teams, those teams taking part on the World Tour. Well, our last rider off today will naturally be the race leader. That's Ben Healy. He starts in around an hour and 20 minutes from now. Until then, we'll get a look at everybody. Here's Alex Kirsch as well, and he's the current double national champion of Luxembourg. He's out on the road. And as well as the GC, we'll be looking at the stage. Brian Smith's alongside me, Rob Patch. And Brian, we'll be looking at the same people to win the stage as the GC, or we'll be looking at 2 races within one for time and one for the stage win.
Do you know, when I look at, and I was thinking about it yesterday in the run-in, you know, the strong time trialists, I know Magnus Kort is, can pull out a good time trial. He's actually gone through 7th at the first intermediate checkpoint, 126 down, so it doesn't look as if he's going full on. And the reason why, he's got a big job tomorrow. If they want to, if Healy holds on to the leader's jersey, then he's got a lot of hard work to do. But normally what I do is I go and highlight the kind of time trial specialists, the riders that are looking to try and kind of win the stage, and then of course looking at the riders that can feature in the GC. But I think like pure sprinters, we mentioned in the first stage, Jordi Meus was probably the kind of out, the one that stood out a little bit. The only one that kind of stands out for me is Victor Campenaerts of Lotto Destiny. I don't think we have many, okay, we've got national champions and things like that here, but I'm talking about riders, we talk about sprinters, riders that are capable of winning at the Tour de France, or time trial specialists that are very capable of winning kind of big Grand Tour stages, and it's very much open today.
Interesting to see how Victor Campenaerts goes as well, because it's been well publicised too, Brian, that he started life as a top time trialist, great in the European Championships, wasn't he? He was taking the Belgian jersey as well. However, he's been vocal in the fact that he says, well, it takes too much hard work to be the best at that, and he's almost preferred in the last 2 to 3 seasons to concentrate on either classics, where he's made his debut in the last 2 years, or mainly getting in breakaways and trying to win a la Thomas de Kent.
It's very difficult to concentrate in every aspect of our sport, because there's always specialists in those areas. We're talking about maybe the kind of punchy climbers, Wout van Aert out having there, Alaphilippe, these type of guys. Riders that are very suited to kind of Liège, Bastogne, Liège, Flèche Wallonne, that type of rider. And then you get the kind of cobble specialists, you get time trial specialists, you get your sprinters, you get your 1 week GC, and I think Richie Porte kind of stands out as always very good at winning kind of 1 week races. I think he won most of them, most of the kind of big ones anyway. And then you get your Grand Tour specialists. So I think Victor, yeah, you're right with the wind tunnel testing and the travelling to be able to do that, the testing of stuff, the different training that you have to do for that. And it's sometimes a breath of fresh air when you start looking at what you can do as maybe a kind of classic specialist and things like that. But there are so many specialists in different areas. It's the same in a team. We often get this, not everybody can win at a team, in a team. So you build a team of different riders for different routes and different riders that can help you in different parts of that route. And it's kind of fascinating because we've got, I would say, a lot of riders in this field today that have never won a bike race, maybe before they turn pro. But when you turn pro, you're there to work for the team, and there's a few riders, including I think Magnus Cort, that will be told, don't go 100% today, save that little bit back and save it for tomorrow in case we have to defend the lead of Ben Healy.
Here is Magnus Cort. Of course, still early in this time trial. It's a condensed field, isn't it? Just 106 riders to ride today. And we're taking the route less travelled, just as we did yesterday. I think the organisers, Andy Schleck, race director, and all of his team have to be congratulated this week because they found new, different roads to take things on. And as well as congratulating the organisers here, we must congratulate the local cycling club, Brian. I said it right at the top of the broadcast today. It's the Pétange Cycling Club, officially the Union Cycliste Pétange, 100th anniversary this year of existence. They're celebrating their centenary. And the time trial really has been sort of, left alone. They've been left to their devices to come up with this. And Schleck himself, in the pre-race interviews, was saying, well, I wasn't sure how it was going to be this time trial. So we'd sort of left them to it. And I thought that it might not have too much to do in the general classification. But with these different roads that have been found, he seems quite happy that it's an interesting enough test. So well done to the local cycling club as well for producing this route today.
One of the smallest countries in the world and finding new roads.
And they did it to brilliant effect yesterday, didn't they? Because we said that the race had gone up that climb before, but on the main road that you can see for the big helicopter shot where we had the castle. And it's a lovely enough road as it is, But we went up a road that you will see, like in the Vuelta or in the Giro, where the organisers go crazy and they look for something new.
Do I think a lot of the people that look at routes go for the safer side or the kind of easier side. Keep it on, because everybody's thinking of health and safety now, especially safety for the riders, and it's easier to keep them on a wider road and put them on a smaller road. That's where you have risks. So I was actually, before we came in here, speaking to Graham Jones, who's the race director down to Langkawi, and I was talking to him because myself and Josie had some testing footage. They had drone footage. They don't have a helicopter and they're working off the motorbike, so it was testing coverage, but we get through it in the end. So I just gave my phone to say, because is there anything we can do to kind of help, give some feedback, and what they can do, what they can help. I've been involved with a lot of events in the past through in different kind of areas. So we had a good chat, good to catch up with them, and that is one of the safest races in the world, Tour Langkawi. It's a brilliant race, big wide open roads, but as you know, we have got some really nice roads here in Luxembourg, and if you kind of look away from these kind of big roads, which this race is kind of renowned for, nice, clean, no problems, but if you go left here, then you're into small roads and you're into different challenges, and why not look at these kind of smaller roads? Why not kind of mix it up a little bit? And everybody, and especially in road races, and I couldn't believe it from British Cycling about a potential race in Scotland. I think we're working through it now, but they wouldn't authorise a race because of it was on a single track road. It was closed road, single track road, and it lasted for just over 4 kilometres, and they deemed it not safe enough. So, but the person that said that was saying that riders and teams would take advantage if there was a crash or anything like that, but that's bike racing. That is, you look at races when it narrows, there's a climb and things like that. That's the whole point of bike racing, is to make sure that you're at the front. You choose moments to put the, to make it hard, and all the riders, squeezing into kind of small road. And if there is a crash there, so be it. That's part of our sport, and you will take advantage of it if you're a team member. So that is cycling, but I hope we get through this and we get these races, because in Britain we can't be choosing what we can and we can't do, but yeah, Luxembourg, not the biggest country in the world, but yeah, long may they look for some of these kind of small roads, because it makes for exciting racing.
Magnus Cort about to finish. He was the 13th rider off, actually. And you can see he's well down on the top time at the minute set by Pascal Eenkorn, 29:24:01. It's 2 minutes down, and well, a suggestion of what you were saying there, Brian. Magnus Cort more than capable.
He's not even out of breath. There's nothing in his moustache. His moustache is absolutely, clean,
pristine.
Yeah, there's no saliva, no nothing in that moustache there.
Rather you analyse that than me. Well, with Tom Virchen here, rider from Luxembourg, racing for, I have to say, the pretty anonymous Global 16. I think I've only seen the jerseys twice. There's only 4 out of the 6 allotted riders in the race, and we've just seen them being dropped, Brian. Not even in a breakaway.
Well, maybe give them a bit of justice here. Maybe it's very green in this part of the world and they kind of blend in a little bit, but it is a jersey that really kind of stands out in the peloton, and I don't think the team have got strength and depth. But they rode the Tour of Britain, and they got in the breakaways and things like that. But maybe the team here, and this is a local rider as well, and he's been around the block a little bit. He's been in some kind of decent teams. They're probably just kind of struggling a little bit with the, how hard these stages have been and how maybe difficult it is to get in breakaways.
I'm going to counter that by saying we saw on the first couple of days the break just roll off the front of the peloton.
Oh, come on. I was trying to give them a bit of kudos.
I
there.
know, but I mean, this is a team that when they sort of turned up last year, they were saying these big things, and we've got these investors, we're going to do this, and I mean, you get to a race like this, and yeah, not one real attempt to get in the break on the day when the break just rolled off.
Do you know, maybe, and we're not in every team meeting, and maybe this rider here, Woodgun, is probably said, and he's way off at this time check at the moment, but You never know. He might have said, I want the team support. I'm going to go for a top 10 performance in the general classification. You don't know these things. And all of a sudden, after a few days of maybe protecting this rider, and yesterday it just goes all out the window. And that's the case sometimes. If the first 2 days are going to be pretty much kind of sprint stages, you try and save all your energy, protect your leader, and then give him the best chance yesterday and today. And unfortunately, that has backfired on them. Maybe they had the firepower to put a rider on the breakaway, but maybe their goal was to try and ride for someone in the general classification.
Well, they've got 3 riders left of the 4 that started the race. And this is Tom Virchen, as you said, he's been around for a while. Now over to his compatriot, Alex Kirsch, national champion of Luxembourg. Of course, he will be motivated with the jersey he has on today and where he's riding.
I tell you what, there's an old man out there flying the flag for us, Rob, or maybe not you, but for me. Dries Devenins went through the intermediate 5 seconds down to Einkorn.
Keep an eye on Dries Devenins then. Possibly riding the final time trial of his career today, depending on where else he's sent to race over the last month or so. Here's Jan Christen, big young talent from Switzerland. Did a big job yesterday for UAE Emirates, who tried their best to control things but just couldn't get organised really with anybody else to bring Ben Healy back. So with Kirsch here, getting a look at these roads, we've seen the road less travelled, the narrow paths. There's a nice, winding, sweeping, modern road. We want to get the speed up on, and a couple of climbs, but nothing like the climbs that we saw yesterday, Brian. This is a pretty good course for somebody who wants to do something if they're a good time trialist, a good specialist.
Do you know what, Rob? I thought that was a nice circuit yesterday. And that would have been a good time trial course as well. But yeah, nice circuit, and I'm glad that Ben Healy got the just rewards for the effort he put in. He did have Carapaz behind, but yeah, there's a few teams making mistakes. I mentioned it in the run-in towards the finish yesterday, but you know, if they'd have come to the front and maybe kind of chased the gaps, wouldn't have been as much in this time trial. But it is what it is, and Ben Healy is the leader of this race, and you know, he could be on his way to his first stage race victory.
Well, he's got work to do today to defend. Of course, we'll be looking ahead to that. We'll be looking back, and Søren Krau's there in 4th place, of course. You're talking over half a minute back down there. Brandon McNulty as well at 40-odd seconds. The likes of Jorgensen too. Interesting to see how it goes. You know, it's 24 kilometres this time trial. What sort of time differences can we expect?
I don't think they'll be significant, especially between the likes of Ben Healy, Søren Krau, McNulty, the kind of time trial specialists. I think Jorgensen may go well. There's a few riders in there that I know that don't really kind of pack a good time trial. You know, I'm looking at maybe kind of Carapaz, but definitely Van Wilder. You know, he's another rider that can perform well, maybe a time trial in this type of field. But yeah, I think it's all about, for me, in the general classification, Ben Healy, Søren Krau, McNulty.
Of Patrick Gambert, here's another national champion. We have 7 on them on the road, actually. A few time trial champions as well, as we're seeing. Gambert is the national champion of Austria.
He was 23 seconds down, Rob, at the checkpoint. So, you know, with the time at the finish, 24 to beat. You know, Holman is into 2nd place at the moment. Jury Holman at 24 seconds down. I mentioned Devenins, he's finished. We're not seeing all the finishes. 25 seconds down in 3rd place. So the top 3, Einkorn, Holman and Devenins. But this man here, the Austrian champion, has got 23 seconds to make up halfway around his course.
Well, just under half an hour, that top time set by Pascal Eenkhoorn so far.
Actually, Alexander Kamp just coming through now. The rider that can sprint, the Danish rider, has gone through fastest at the first time check. And he went through 20:28, so that's 2 seconds quicker than Eenkhoorn, who's the fastest at the finish.
I know that Tudor Pro Cycling today had good hopes for Arthur Klukas to try and move up in the general classification, quite a few places, so they're confident in their time trialling ability. As we see the National Brewery, how about that? No time until tomorrow evening, though, to raise a glass and
the
celebrate.
Brew Hotel. Is that Brew Hotel? You can actually stay in there.
I would imagine you can. Now then, this team yesterday, we're expecting a little more from them, weren't we, AG Desert Citroën?
A little?
Not.
Again,
I think one of us is playing, I think both, in all of these instances, one of us is playing good cop, one is playing bad cop. As you say, yes, they've got far too good talent to be where they are in the general classification, which is, looking down, pretty much nowhere. Nons Petels, one of those riders, who's out there trying to do his best, and who's already won stages in the Tour, stage winner as well in the Giro d'Italia before he took that Tour stage. Rider from the French Alps. Now Kirsch is going well, isn't he? He's got his minute man up ahead. That should be Frederik Vandeel. Rider from Bora Hansgrohe, Danish rider. And it looks as though he's well on his way to catching him.
Yeah, this always helps in a time trial, Rob. Of course, you know, we all say it's about concentration and looking at your effort instead of anybody else's, but it really does help when you catch. It just gives you that little lift, and also you can try and kind of use the slipstream for a little bit. You'll see a lot of the riders maybe kind of moving over into the car slipstream, into the rider slipstream and coming past. So, but it's one of these things that you can't get too excited about. You still have to concentrate on your effort rather than catching the rider in front. And you can also see his 2-minute man is not that far away, I think.
Well, Frederik Vandeel in front of him and about to be caught. 2-minute man who you referred to is Magnus Kulset, rider from Norway. Kirsch naturally is going to have a heck of a lot of support here, and he's visible, isn't he? He's got the national flag on his back. Here he is. He's got Vandeel to try and get ahead of. He does get ahead of him and is applauded by the local fans. Lidl Trek, who have Ciccone going off as their best placed man in the GC. He'll be departing in, what is it now, around 35, 40 minutes from now. We are an hour away, by the way, from having everybody on the road, so it'll be a fast-moving affair this afternoon. Now then, Kirsch is going well. We knew that anyway.
Oh, wow. This is super.
Very well indeed. Now, take a look at that. 39 seconds quicker than Camp.
Now we see a real time trial specialist. That just knocked everybody for six there that have been out in the course beforehand. And yeah, Kirsch, it's the difference of being a national champion. I know not all national champions can lift it, but this is Tour de Luxembourg. This is the champion of the country, and he's very capable of doing these things. He's a strong rider, strong in all kind of disciplines. Maybe not a specialist, the likes of Campenart. Oh, Campenart was, but it looks as if that motivation is there to try and win this one.
If you can't be motivated riding at home in your national tour, in your national jersey, you never are going to be. He's got his mates cheering him on, and he is blowing up the competition at the minute. It's a brilliant ride so far from Alex Kirsch.
When you consider, Rob, that he's 15 minutes down in the general classification, was that a choice? Is because he's very capable of getting up there yesterday. Did he choose to kind of hold back a little bit to think about this time trial and try and win the time trial? It's a big risk. Okay, in this field, I think he has a chance, if I'm completely honest, because a lot of riders went quite deep yesterday and it was quite hard. But did he back off to concentrate in this time trial? If it comes off for him, wow, it's going to be a big win.
Alex Kirsch is having the best moment of his career. We'll talk about that in a minute when we get another look at him. But for now, this is Patrick Gamper. He's on his way to the finish now, and it's not quite going to be good enough to do what he needs to do at the finish. This is the straight road that takes them into the finish. 300 metres from here until the clock will stop. It's been a solid enough ride compared to the times we've had so far. But having seen what Kirsch has done and just seen a couple of rides before, it's not going to stand up. He's just over half a minute down on Pascal Incorn, who's the fastest to now at the finish. Patrick Gamper, his day done. And his opportunities, albeit slim ones, I'm sure, at the start, to take a win today. Back to the start. And Jumbo-Visma riders are always interesting riders when it comes to the time trial. Steven Kruijswijk, not the strongest, however. It's where his GC challenges back in the day tended to fall down a little in the time trial. Mightily strong climber. Of course, he's much more in domestique mode nowadays, and he has been there this week. He's had a couple of horrendous years with crashes and injuries, and on his day, this is one of the top operators in the world in terms of riding at the front on a big climb. Let's see what he's got against the clock today. It's just nice to see him on a bike and in competition again, because he feels like he's been missing from too many of the big races.
Do you know what, Rob? Sometimes when you're part of a big team like this, and okay, he's had a good career, but we haven't seen too much of him because he's become a team rider in Grand Tours, and when that, I'm not going to say you're becoming insignificant. Kilometres and the work's done by then, and then you never kind of see that it's for him. He's doing a good job, and I think Steven Kruijswijk will be in this team for the next kind of couple of years, because what he does, the work that he does for his team is incredible, and I don't think most people see it or know what he's doing, but that's what happens when you're in a huge team like Jumbo-Visma, and winning all the Grand Tours. You need the workhorses behind you, and Steven Kruijswijk is one of those workhorses.
Alex Kirsch is one of those riders who is having the best year of his career. He's 31 now, from Luxembourg, national champion in both time trial and road this year for the first time. Before this year, he'd never ever won a race at the professional level, Brian. If he can win today, I know he's got those national championships, but this is against an international field. He's in the national jersey. This would be the high watermark so far in terms of his personal success. And here's the man you were talking about. Victor Campenaerts of Lotto Destiny, former European champion. By his own admission, no longer a man who concentrates as much on time trialing as he used to. But he is a top operator. And today, in this field, if he rides to his ability, Brian, he has a great chance.
He does. And you can see that the start he's going for. He's not going for the visor and the Ekoi helmet. He's going in, and he pushes it. He pushes the helmet back, which means that it goes on to the back of his neck a little bit better. It doesn't kind of stick up as much, and he always is a rider that looks for more aerodynamics than anybody else. But to see him in the start gate there, and to see him start like he did there, He means business.
Alex Kirsch has meant business throughout his ride so far, taking over half a minute at the time check away from the best previous time. Of course, that had been set by Alexander Kamp, who were waiting to get to the finish as well. They're all getting faster. Nice sunny afternoon and dry roads helping things as well. Kirsch has to hang on here. When he gets back into Pittange now, just up this road, really go for the line. 26 minutes and ticking. Top time at the finish so far, 29.24, set by Pascal Encorn. We talked about Alexander Kamp. He's actually just come in, finished 7 seconds down on Encorn, so he lost a little bit of time in the second half, Brian.
Yeah, he did not a lot, 2 seconds to Encorn, but the looks of things, he's just through the 2Ks to go. Looks as if he's held this advantage, if not increased it a little bit. He went through, the first checkpoints, a lot quicker than anybody else, about 40 seconds. So it could be about, 40, 50 seconds for the man from Luxembourg, Alex Kirsch.
Julien Alaphilippe time. And he's always well received to what he's done in the sport, for his personality on the bike as well. On the time trial bike here, Julien Alaphilippe. He's won a time trial in the past. I remember one in Paris-Nice that was a ridiculously difficult finish.
What about the one in the Tour around Pau? That was special. You would not rate Alaphilippe as a time trial specialist. Not the way he rides. He's swashbuckling style. He's just an attacker, puts everything into it. But I remember that day, especially the steep climb that came in and the noise in Pau. It was incredible to see.
That was the day that we saw that horrible injury for Wout van Aert as well, when he just turned up on the scene and he went into the barrier. But it was, a really hot day down in Pau, and a sensational performance from Alaphilippe that was making France dream at the time, wasn't it?
It was indeed. So just a reminder, the time to beat is 29.24. He's going to beat that by how much? That's the question.
Alex Kirsch, national champion of Luxembourg. They can see him at the finish line. He can see that finish, and he'll know that he's setting the top time. They encourage him behind, they talk to him. Kim Anderson, who's following in the sports director's seat. But it's all about Kirsch. And he's going to take quite a bit of time out of this. Can it be beaten? 45 seconds quicker. Is it going to be a first international victory for the Luxembourg national champion? Well played, Alex Kirsch. He's having the season of his life. And Pascal Encorn knew what was coming, having seen the intermediate time check. This is Victor Campenaerts on that climb. There are 2 climbs, aren't there? This is the first of them, the one that takes the narrow road. But again, nothing like yesterday. It's a drag that you can see, Brian. You can settle into a nice rhythm, push out the watts, do the business, and Campenaerts is doing exactly that. Yeah,
rock steady, isn't he? He's not the same when he gets out the saddle and tries to accelerate. He seems to be all over his bike, but I'm just looking at. He's another man that can pull out a good time trial. Will Barta, he did so not that long ago in the Vuelta.
Good rider, riding on the front as well, isn't he? He's a real solid rider, Will Barta from the United States. He's found a good home at Movistar. He seems to be liked and an important rider there. And he's showing us what he can do. William Barta on the way for Movistar team. Now from Barta to Campenaerts. Belgian former European champion. Look at that. Body not moving, rock steady, as Brian Smith was just saying. All the power through the pistons in the legs.
And he's got a good cadence there. A lot of riders tend to ride at kind of bigger gears, but he's just going through the cadence. I think he's got a lot of respect. Look how flat his back is there as well. So a lot of respect for this course is not entirely flat. And that's why you use a kind of bigger gear. So he's using quite a lot of cadence.
There's another rider to watch today, Kevin Junietz, who is a former national champion in Luxembourg. He's had the jersey on the road and the time trial. Tends to be one of those nations where you see a lot of the doubles being done, don't you? Bob Jungels years. Junietz had it as well. And now it's Kirsch who's got both the national jerseys. Junietz is off for Groupama FDJ. Well, considering the lineup they aligned, have had a pretty anonymous poor week. Gaudu and Pinot climbing off on the first day with a lot to do with that. And here he is, the next Luxembourg national hero and the biggest in recent times. This is a man who's won a monument. He's been up there in the white jersey at the Giro d'Italia. He's worn the pink jersey. He's finished in the top 5. He's a mightily good bike rider. Stage win at the Tour de France, his last big moment. And here he is in Bora Hansgrohe colours this year. Off he goes, and listen to that roar. What's he got in his locker?
Well, that's the question. How many watts has he got in his locker? Because in this field he can do rather well. Can he beat the time of Kirsch? I very much doubt it in the form that he's got, but you never know with the kind of extra motivation.
Here is Will Barter on a beautiful sunny afternoon. Narrower roads at the start from Pétange. Different strategies for different types of GC riders as well today, Brian. Of course, everyone's looking for the best time they can, but you'll have some riders who think that their chances lie better attacking on the course around the Kirchberg tomorrow. You've got other riders maybe just holding on what they've got, and you know, the likes of Ben Healy, who did the damage yesterday, he'll feel.
It does really depend on what you want out the race. Just looking at the general classification, and I think all the riders within a minute, 13 riders within a minute, just outside a minute. You've got quite a few. You go down to, you know, Archie Ryan that rode terrifically yesterday. He's at 109, so, and then it kind of goes away. But I think if you're up there yesterday, you've got GC ambitions. If you're not, then it's a question, Rob, do you want to try for the stage? And like we say, in this field, we don't have many kind of TT specialists. There's a lot of good time trialists in here, but you have to have a super day to try and, you know, to win this. So do you go all in, or do you save everything and try for the stage tomorrow? It's a risk, because as we know, in all stage races, the last stage, everybody just throws everything at it.
Well, that stage tomorrow. And again, a reminder, and we've been talking about this throughout the week, there's lots of other cycling on elsewhere, isn't there? There's a packed programme of sport across our networks this weekend. So tomorrow we'll be on at the much earlier time again. We've been early, late. We've been in the middle of the afternoon some days. It's a much earlier start tomorrow. I'm talking around lunchtime for those of you watching in UK, Ireland, or in continental Europe. Where I am, it's something past 1, I think.
Yeah, no, that suits well for me. You could have breakfast with Jose and Brian, and lunch with Rob and Brian. Don't know what you're going to have dinner at night with.
Well, you can watch the European Championships. That's, of course, on and across our platforms. If you like to keep tab on the Women Elite Race, that's happening now. Remember, you can switch on to Eurosport, or you can double screen us. We're on Discovery Plus and GCN Plus, and anything that you might have missed or have to miss because of other plans this weekend, make sure you do that. Catch up live and on demand. Right turn coming up for Jungels here. Of course, he'll have been one of those riders who's been able to do a reconnaissance mission at this stage. Of course, even if you're a local Luxembourger, some of these roads that are being taken might not be too familiar to everybody.
Yeah, I think I was thinking that the other day. I used to live in the Isle of Man for many years, and of course that's in the middle of the Irish Sea. But this is a small country, but it's landlocked. So I would suspect that a lot of these riders living here don't just ride within the country. They do, probably different countries in a day. It's like when Daddy comes back after his bike ride. How many countries did you do today?
Well, there's a lot of that, and I've realised, given what's happened in the last few years in a certain nation that is big among our viewership, not everybody will enjoy us talking about this, but it's a fact. Schengen is down the road from here, and Schengen is part of Luxembourg, a town in Luxembourg where the European Union signed a deal for free movement quite a bit of time ago, and it's a vital part to countries like this. Your nearest supermarket might not be in your own nation. It might be down the road in Germany or in France, depending on where you live. And there's a lot of that in Belgium and Holland as well. And we see it at the Amstel Gold Race, don't we, every year? We cross over into Germany sometimes, down into Belgium. And here in Luxembourg, it's the same. So there'll be plenty of rides going on. Same riders who live in northern Italy, Austria, Slovenia, lots of places like that. Thank goodness for Schengen. And long may it continue, eh? Campenaerts moving ahead of Nathaniel Tesfatsion, who's a solid rider but not a noted time trialist. Again, we know that Campenaerts is going for it today. Tesfatsion might have work to do tomorrow. He's also a kind of rider that on a course like tomorrow would be an interesting one to watch.
Definitely, and just a quick update on the first time check. Jan Christian, 18 seconds down. Oliver Knight, who we talked about yesterday for Cofidis, a young Rayner-funded rider, 35 seconds down. Nylans, the Latvian, 35 seconds. Stockbro, 37 seconds also. So there's a few riders there and thereabouts. I really do think with Christian, he took most of his time in the first part of the course, and then he kind of suffered a little bit in the back end, only taking another 7 or 8 seconds from the time he had already taken. So if that's the case, I think you have to really be very close to the time check of Alex Kurs if you want to win that. So that's a 19:49, and the closest so far is Jan Christian at 18 seconds.
And we're watching Kevin Juniets now. Looks to have a solid enough position. Again, he's won the national title before.
Well, if you like to ride on the point in the saddle and the position looks good.
Well,
it's always a case when you look at sitting in that position and keeping in that position. You see him just kind of trying to move back. He's probably not pedal stroke. He's probably not as efficient as he is, as they would do, kind of push back in the saddle. But it's a very difficult. It's not natural to sit in that position in a time trial. You try and get that ratio, aerodynamics against getting the whole power out.
Time for Hugo Hull, has been national champion in Canada. Of course, moved into a very special club in world and Canadian cycling last year when he won that Tour de France stage. Finish of a race I certainly won't forget. Remember commentating on that when he came across in Foix, and you can see the emotion pouring out of him. And another North American here in Will Barter.
He's one of these riders, Hugo Hull, a good team rider, but that opportunity might not come round again. It's what he might have a career that he's won a Tour de France stage. That might be it. Some riders have that in their career, some riders don't. We talk about team riders getting in breakaways, and everything lined up that day for him, and it was, like you say, it was such an emotional win.
Barret-Peintre joined the Grand Tour Stage Winners Club this year, winning at the Giro d'Italia. On his way for Agile Citroën. And we're moving past 5 o'clock local time now. It means we're moving into the top 30 riders. And in 40 minutes, Ben Healy, race leader, will be off. Everybody separated by a minute today until we get to rider number 96 down the ramp. That's Valentin Madouas. And after that, we'll be into the top 10. So everybody will be separated by 2 minutes.
I thought yesterday he was rather quiet. Madouas, he's there and thereabouts, but on that sort of course I was expecting a little bit more from him.
We've still had quite a few riders this week. Again, it's so difficult, isn't it? And very easy for us to sit here and it's our job to question. And and I know there'll be annoyed riders watching. Say, oh, they don't. I mean, it is our job to ask why the result isn't coming. That's part of journalism, isn't it? But what we must say for balance, and because it's true, is that motivation's difficult at this time of year. Fitness is difficult. You can't keep the same form for the whole year. And you can look at someone down like Dionis Aguirre as well, who's been right up there, and in the past he'd be gobbling up stage races like this, wouldn't he? Certainly with a little time trialing like this. But everybody's got different objectives, and competition is fierce, and that's why we enjoy watching it even more than we used to do. This is a wonderful sport to watch at the minute, but it does mean that not everybody can be on top form every week, Brian.
Yeah, I was just looking at Madouas, the way he's been riding recently, especially over in Canada and things like that, and some of the harder races that I thought he would have been there. And it's one of these things, Rob, that if you get a national champs jersey on, you stick out a little bit, and it reminds you. It's not until you look down and, like you say, Dionis Aguirre is another one, stage winner this year's Tour de France, and you think, yeah, he never did too much. And when you dig deep into who was there and who was kind of missing yesterday, there was a lot, but it's one of these things that when you wear a special jersey, you are seen the whole time.
Well, this man's had that special jersey for a little while, Juniette's. This man was the Continental King, let's not forget, Campenaerts.
Well, I hope we stay with them, because it's at the top of this drag, Rob, that we have the first time check. So let's see what Campenaerts can do. The best time is Alex Kirsch at 19:49, and that's an average of 46.325. That's it's not an overly fast time trial, just a bit technical up and down. So this is a strong man's course.
Well, let's see what Victor Campenaerts can produce at that intermediate check. Once again, he just doesn't move, does he, from his position? So good at what he does. He's got the encouragement as well. Remember, the time check is at the top of the second of the two climbs on the course. Looking around, that top time, 19:49, set by Kirsch at that first check. This is what's happening at the finish. It's Kirsch Christen, who's come into second place at 27 seconds now.
Yeah, he was at 18 seconds, so quite a consistent effort. So this looks as if it could be quite close. In fact, I think Campenaerts might be the fastest.
Time check just up here. Let's see as he comes through. He should be quicker, I think. Let's say. Here comes Victor Campenaerts. There is the time check point. Yes, and he is going to be quicker. Oh, that's not a pleasant look up from the phone screen, that one, is it, for Alex Kirsch? He thought he might be on his way to something special. Victor Campenaerts, though, will be favourite to move into the lead from here now, Brian.
Yeah, you think that. I don't think he's going to lose too much time, and like we said right from the start, he is the kind of standout rider that's kind of time trial specialist, just like Jordi Meers. But Jordi Meers didn't win the first that kind of sprint stage, so it's not a given. You've got to remember there's a GC battle to come in, and the form that Ben Healy's in, and the likes of Soren Kral, McNulty, these guys, you never know. But Victor Campenaerts, if he keeps this up, then it looks as if he could be going into that hot seat.
Bob Jongels now. What a story that would be if he could suddenly refine that top time trialling form. again, in some of the races he's ridden since he's made his move this year. And, of course, last year, when he was stage hunting at the Tour, he wouldn't have been going full gas in the time trial. He'd have been holding back on those days. But when we had a GC, Bob Jungels, in the early part of his career, he was very good at this. Now let's go back to the start. Lotto Destiny's next man to go is going to be Brent van Moer. And in Pétanche, it is Brent van Moer who starts.
Archie Ryan, l'Irlandais de la formation Jumbo-Visma.
Archie Ryan's not far from starting.
Yeah, just an update for the Brits. I'll keep flying that flag, the Dave Rayner Fund, that Oliver Knight has just finished for Cofidis in a 29.23. I'm not too sure if that's correct, but he's finished 45 seconds down in the third fastest time.
L'Irlandais de Jumbo-Visma.
Archie Ryan is next then, riding for Jumbo-Visma now as a stagiaire. Well, he's part of the development team, isn't he? Not the same system that we've always had. He's moved up from the development team here because this is a second division race, a Pro Series race where this is allowed. Can't do that on the World Tour, of course. But he's not going to be wearing that Killer Bee outfit next year. He's going to be in EF Education Easy Post colours, isn't he?
Probably prefers pink, but I think...
I know I do, don't you worry.
Yeah, no, I don't mind pink. I used to have a blue and pink bike, pink handlebar tape. But the thing is...
There's one of those sitting next to me in this office right now. I can see the pink bar tape from here.
Yeah, well, I've got a nice Bianchi behind. I need to get out. I've got a gravel one as well, so I need to get out. But, yeah, back to Archie Ryan, it's a big decision. You got to remember, if you go. I used to say to a lot of riders that sometimes gave me a phone and, you know, what should I do? Especially when it came around to about Team Sky. It's what you want out. And I always ask them, what do you want to do in the next couple of years? Do you want to just develop and learn, or do you want to get results? It's a difficult one. Of course, you can ride for Jumbo-Visma, but what opportunities will you get? Because a lot of the races they go to, it's, you know, they go to there to win them, and, you know, will you get given your opportunity? So you have to kind of weigh up what team you're going to, and possibly for Archie Ryan, EF Education Easy Post is a team that he feels that he'll ride for the team, but he may get his opportunity at times as well.
Archie Ryan yesterday showed he's a mighty talent, and we've already seen it in the under-23s with top fours in GC at the Tour de l'Avenir, stage win as well. Here among the professionals, he showed that he was not out of place yesterday. In fact, he was very much at the forefront of the action. One of the most impressive riders on yesterday's stage, I thought.
Well, Will Barta's gone well. He's within 30 seconds of Campan Archie's time. I don't think he'll beat it, but he'll be close.
Felix Gall time. By his own admission, time trial not his own strong point.
Not the same ovation as Bob Jungels had there, when you consider what he's done.
Well, Brian, I mean, there's a proper difference there, isn't there? Felix Gall's Austrian.
Yeah, but you can see the big difference in you know, the ovation. I think Bob Jungels such a big ovation, and then your stage winner of the Tour de France just goes off the ramp and everybody's just like a few bangs of the boards.
Bob Jungels, the local heroes. We're looking at Barta here. By the way, Alaphilippe, third best time at that intermediate check we've seen.
He likes these punchy courses, doesn't he? This, you know, the kind of slower course. If this is a course that they're going 54, 55 kilometres an hour average, I don't think Alaphilippe would be there, but he does prefer. We're talking about that when he had in Pau, where it was really kind of punchy and, you know, difficult, wasn't a fast course, and I think that works well for him.
Well, Barta then looking at 5th place at the intermediate check so far, 48.4 seconds down on the 19.2 set by Copenhagen. And here's Jongels. What can he produce? He's coming up the hill here. And he's giving it a go. I think that much is certain.
Not too sure he's quite there yet. He's got a long way to go to the top of this drag, so I don't think it'll be the fastest time, Rob.
Back to the start with Tudor Pro Cycling. Into the final half an hour of starters now. And this is Arthur Klukas, another local rider. And he will be looking to try and move up. I know within the team they're confident of that. Arthur Klukas, another of the Luxembourg local stars. A man on the way up. They wait, they watch. Jongels is on the way up. Before he gets there, though, it'll be Genietz. Let's get the time up. Ooh. Looks as though he's well down here, Kevin Genietz. 23rd place, 24th in fact, 1.5 minutes down. Not the time trial that the former national champ's looking for. Jongels behind, and again, not really setting the world alight as you feared, Brian.
No, the want is there. He wants to do it, but unfortunately, he's kind of way off at the moment. It's like a little bit like Blackburn wanting to win against Ipswich, but losing 3-1 at the moment.
I knew you were off looking something up. I could see you in the background. We'll pretend that match isn't happening, but well done. Yeah,
it's okay, so Mum's winning 1-0.
I knew you'd be looking at that one too. Saturday afternoon for you, eh? I wonder who Ben O'Connor's cheering for. Perth Glory? Here's Campenarts going for the top time, and he takes it over half a minute quicker. Victor Campenarts rolling back the clock on the time trial bike and stopping the clock faster than anybody else.
Yeah, that's good time, as expected. Very difficult to come back into a sport that you really, a discipline of a sport that you really kind of targeted. But yeah, Alex Kirsch, he did a good ride today. He was possibly holding something back to try and kind of win this time trial, but unfortunately in the field we've got, a world-class athlete that's, has been European champion in the past at this discipline. So what an effort there for Campenarts. So I think that really will be a hard time to beat today.
Looking at Klukas here. Again, you look down, you wonder if anybody can beat it. Not exactly a dearth of talent, but you said it in your straight-talking way, Brian, straight up early on, that there weren't too many of the big-name specialists here. Klukas is settling in on this narrow road, almost path, that takes the riders up the first of the two climbs. Back with Alaphilippe. That swashbuckling style. Almost obligatory mention among those commentators of that style. Now I know that. But
D'Artagnan. Could be a top 3 here on the leaderboard for the moment anyway.
Well, whilst we watch Julien Alaphilippe, I've just been told that we're going to welcome our viewers from the television in a minute who've been off watching the European Championships. So you will appreciate and allow us, I'm sure, to very briefly introduce the scene and get the television viewers up to date with what you've all been watching on our digital platforms since the start. Here's Julien Alaphilippe. Let's get the clock up. He was applauded on his way off, the big character that he is. Third place at the intermediate check when he went over. He's lost a little bit of time in the second half. He's going to be in the top 10 provisionally. Alaphilippe. Just less than a minute slower. Nice to see him have a hit out though.
Went well early, kind of paid for it later on, no?
Victor Kapanarts, the fastest so far on the fourth of 5 stages in Luxembourg. It's the Skoda Tour, and we're in Pittange celebrating the local cycling club's centenary. It's a 24-kilometre time trial, this, 23.9 to be exact. 2 climbs among it. A time check at the second climb. Alex Kirsch, the national champion, was leading until Victor Kapanarts went quicker. Nobody going quicker than Kapanarts on the particular second time check we've seen up at the top of that hill so far. This is Giulio Ciccone, and we're starting to get into the top 15 in the general classification now. Last man off today will start in around 22, 23 minutes from now. That's Ben Healy, the leader. And well, we're going from the race for the stage win to starting to look at the race for the general classification, Brian Smith, and starting with riders like Arthur Cluquels, who isn't up there at the minute in the top 10, but he's looking to try and make it towards places in the top 10, 20, if he puts in a good time trial.
This isn't a time trial specialist dream course in my mind. You know, that you're talking about big power, big speeds, you know, aerodynamics, everything comes into it. You said at the top of the programme that, you know, they gave this out to the local club to come up with a course today, and the race director Andy Sleck is giving it, you know, 100%, and I have to agree with him. For GC contenders, some of them, well, we know that a lot of them put in a good time trial, but in this field, I wouldn't say the guys that are up there in the GC are kind of time trial specialists. They're good at time trials, but I think this course, I would say it's a sporting course. Don't know where he was going there. It's, you know, there is a case of, you know, after what happened to Stefan Kung in the European Championships, is a lot of these riders putting their head down and kind of moving over the course. And Cluckers was over at the white line on the left-hand side there, just purely because he's looking to get those aerodynamics and, you know, ride with his head down. So just watch it here. This is a strange one, Robert. Again, I can only think, where's he going? Head down, not watching where he's going. And unfortunately for Kung, I don't think he should have been allowed to finish the Europeans, but that's another story. This is what riders are up against now, and I think the UCI kind of have to look at these things that, you know, head in hands, not watching what you're doing. We can see it clearly here. Of course, you can look down and follow the white lines, the dotted lines in the middle. That's the easiest thing to do, but these riders look up, put their head down, and it's just pure dangerous. So yeah, I would think this is classed as a sporting time trial, which I think opens the door to some good performances, not just time trial specialists.
Back with Bob Jongels here, who was not quite as off the pace as his compatriot Kevin Junietz at the intermediate check, but he was just over a minute down. And here's Valentin Madouas. We've got used to seeing him in that French national jersey on the road. Here he is back in his trade team colours for the time trial. Just outside the top 10. And now every rider starts with a 2-minute gap, Brian.
Yep, as normal. Yeah, it's just the GC, like we saw Kampernarts, he started 1 minute. he does get a slight advantage from maybe catching one or two riders in front of him, but the GC is, you know, where it's at, and so that's why they separate the top 10 by 2 minutes. But like I was saying, you know, the top 13 are, you know, within a minute. I don't think you're going to take a minute back in this course. I think, if anything, you're talking about 10-20 seconds. I'm hoping that it's still close tomorrow. Of course, Ben Healy's not, but if it's close tomorrow, then we're in for a little bit of a treat in this finishing circuit.
Here's one for the home fans. Juniet's going to make his way, and he's going to be in and around the top 20. Can he sneak in there for now? He can. But again, you expect some faster times than that to come, and he'll probably end up just outside the top 20 on the day. And back to the start. It's Tish Benoot time. Movember's come early. Back to Jongels. He's going to be a bit better than Juniet, and he's going to be 8th place for now, in and around Julien Alaphilippe territory. So not the best Bob Jongels we've ever seen, but solid enough. So Benoot having that extra weight, of course, with the 2 minutes separating each rider. He's finally into his countdown.
Yeah, this is Tash Benoot this time instead of Tish.
Well, it's a different look for him, isn't it?
L'Équatorien Richard Carapace. Richard Carapace, 9e au classement général.
Tash Benoot, dearie me. Let's get back out in the course, shall we? Arthur Kluckels. Time ticking. Oh, he's screamed on there by local supporters, and again he's a local boy, so it might be family. As we now look up to the Ecuadorian star Richard Carapaz.
Still having his dinner.
Well, you've got to be well fueled for these efforts, Brian. And of course he'll be doing his best to stay up there as well.
I think it's important, Rob, that he stays up there. It just gives them options. You know, he has to, and in this sort of course, I'm saying, normally in a kind of one of these drag strip courses, Richard Carapaz wouldn't perform as well, but in a sporting course, I think he has to stay, and he's got a chance of staying within striking distance.
This is Luca Vergallito. Came to the fore in esports last year, now racing for Alpecin de Koning. Good climber. Time trial today for him, hard work. Speaker there at the start, just going through the riders still to begin. And we're now into 9th placed Richard Carapaz. Former Giro winner. I thought he was on his way to winning another Giro until that big crack on the Passo Fedaya. Broken by Jai Hindley and Bora Hansgrohe. What a spectacular end to a stage that was. Thomas is in town as well. I'm tempted to do the Ringo Starr impression, but we'll leave that for another day, said Thomas. It's busy down there. I hope they're watching on GCN Plus and Discovery Plus Europe. Want to meet us a minute of the end of this. Great conditions to be out there on a bike today. I know there's a little bit of wind about, but nothing serious. Super temperatures, nice sunny day. The right mixed bag of weather this week, but today you couldn't have asked for better. Certainly at this time of year where it can be changing, changeable as we've seen the last few days. Johannes Kulset will be our next finisher. Oh, he's going to be well down, despite trying to get as aero as possible with that rather jazzy helmet. Well over 2 minutes past the top time set by Victor Campenaerts. It's Ilan van Wilder time. Best man in the GC for Soudal Quick Step. One of the top teams in this discipline around the world. We've already seen Alaphilippe put in a solid, aggressive opening to his time trial. What can van Wilder produce over the course of the totality of it? Bastien Tranchant may be paying for his efforts in the breakaway the last couple of days. No surprise, to be expected. He's been a good watch this week, but today, pretty anonymous in those time trial results.
Yeah,
no
a couple of days in the breakaway, very good attacking rider. Very, very strong performance yesterday. And, you know, I think he was trying more to win the stage. The way he was kind of using his energy, it wasn't a case of sometimes you get yourself in the breakaway for some of your riders to go across. I think he found himself there, and I think at the end of the day he was hoping to try and get that victory. It wasn't to be, but yeah, a lot of work to do in the time trial. But yeah, let's see what the last few riders can produce, because we're getting into the meaty part. A few good time trialists still to come. Very sporting course. Van Wilder is the best of Soudal Quick Step. Let's see what he can do today.
Here's Matteo Jorgensen riding his final few races for Movistar. It was well publicised earlier this year that he had to spend own time and money on sorting out, you know, the extra training he needed, the certain ways of training he wanted, the gear. But he's on his way to a team where I don't think there'll be any of that missing at Jumbo-Visma, Brian.
No, that kind of highlights. I know it happens with other teams, that if you want a kind of specialist training camp, or even you want your own, because let's be honest here, nutrition wise, not everybody gets on with the nutrition you get as a sponsor for the team, or maybe some of the equipment from the team. It's more so in the past that if you didn't get along with anything, you like to be kind of comfortable, and you know, riders will buy their own stuff. Riders will have to kind of go to their own kind of mini training camps, and you know, normally kind of happens in some of the kind of smaller teams that you organise it, take a swan year and a mechanic with you, and you have to kind of pay for them. It's not as if they come along for a jolly as well, so you know, you have to pay for that yourself. So it's not just about looking after yourself. So you know, you have to pay their expenses and pay them to come along. So, but it's what you want to invest in yourself. But like you say, some other teams will have, you know, all that in place.
Kluckhaus coming up to that time check at the top of the second of the two climbs on the course. Like, we're not talking mighty mountains here. These are drags in what Brian has been describing as this sporting course. And this is the ranking at the time check. Campenaerts fastest with 19.19, Kirsch at 29 seconds, Alaphilippe, who then faded quite a lot, didn't he, at 34, Galnelec down in fourth place, Brent van Moer up there in the top five as well. Kluckhaus waved on by the local fans. He's still a way to go to the top. He's not going to be threatening Campenaerts' time hit, 19.19. And here's Campenaerts' teammate, Brent van Moer. I think the way he's riding, he'll be moving up a bit in the GC today.
Yeah, 39 seconds down on Campenaerts, but more importantly, how does he compare against the other GC contenders? So by the looks of things, you know, he started in the Renew Tour and even Tour of Denmark. He was starting to come good. So, you know, he's got a kind of purple period of form at the moment. It's what he can convert it into, and if he continues like this, I think, you know, he'll definitely be up there in top 10 in general classification.
And that's our second race. We mentioned it right early on in the broadcast, didn't we? That there may well be two races today, one for the stage win, which is going to be difficult to see Campenaerts beaten. Of course, we'll have to wait to see how the likes of Healy and company get on. Søren Kragh as well, who's good at this discipline and who's a Paris-Nice time trial stage winner, let's not forget, a couple of years ago. But how will the GC riders compare to each other? There's Klukkers, and he's through the time check, but a good minute and a bit down. Nice for the local supporters and cycling clubs who are out on the Saturday ride to watch a time trial here. They get to see a lot of the race today.
It's always a nice thing, and even with some stage races, they start with a prologue, and I know a lot of riders don't like it. Can be a logistical nightmare sometimes, but it's nice for, you know, the spectators to actually kind of see the individual riders.
Maxi Vochils to start. Starts the day in 5th position. We're into the top 5 now. And in 8 minutes' time, our leader Ben Healy will be on the road in the yellow jersey. By the way, one update from the individual, or the intermediate check. I always get those words mixed up. Sorry about that. Intermediate check, Rob. New second best time has been set. Not by this man yet, Ben O'Connor, who's going very well, you can see. This is a real turn-up for the books. You just see where he manages to situate himself now. But I think Koen Bouwman has been going fantastically well. This is Sam Omen, by the way, but Koen Bouwman had set the second best time until then.
You can now see my concern yesterday about why did AG2R Citroën not ride in that run-in. They could be kicking themselves because, you know, Ben O'Connor there, he looked as if he was within 20 seconds of Campenaerts, but what will he be against Ben Healy? That's the question. And, you know, there's 4 riders in there towards the finish. They could have closed the gap down a little bit. I still think Ben would have won, but gives them a big opportunity in the general classification.
Interesting to see how this man goes forward in his career with attempts at the odd bit of general classification riding as well. Of course, his main job for the foreseeable future is going to be to help Remco Evenepoel, isn't it? But he didn't go to the Vuelta this year. He also said that he quite likes having his own opportunities as well as helping Evenepoel, which is natural at his age. Interesting to see how he develops and how far down the own opportunities road he's allowed to go. We're into the top 4. And it's Søren Kragh. He's in that light blue skin suit today as the leader in the points classification. Has a very good lead in that classification at the minute. Unless there's big changes and somebody doubles up tomorrow, he's very likely to take that jersey all the way to the end, I think. 16-point lead. Let's see what he does today. You'd expect him to be up there, wouldn't you, Brian?
Yeah, on a good day, I would expect him to really kind of challenge in this course, especially Campenaerts. So let's see, because Campenaerts has been thereabouts the last few days, but Søren Kragh was, you know, he's been up there pretty much every day.
Felix Großschartner coming through in second place at the intermediate check. I'll first look at one of the technical turns at the start, but it's one negotiated by Søren Kragh Andersen. Again, who we must stress is a Dane, but has spent time living in Luxembourg. Knows the area, knows the roads.
I think a number in his back reminds us of what happened in the first 2 stages.
Yeah, 2 and 2. 22 today. But of course he was second first stage, second session. That's why he's in charge of this points classification, isn't it? A reminder of what's happening there at the intermediate, and well, they've readjusted the times. Korschattner not second but third, in fact, just behind Koen Bouwman at 11 seconds. I've really not seen a camera out on Bouwman out so far. Interesting to see how he goes. Now with Dylan Teuns. Great performance yesterday. Good to see him back amongst the best. It's been a difficult year off the bike. Separated from his wife. Came at a period where he was preparing for the Ardennes as well. And it was all very public in Belgium, which I think he found extremely difficult, as anybody would. But he's there on his bike, and it's nice to see him racing and riding again. And at the pointy end of things too.
Yeah, that's good. Can be easy. A lot of these sportsmen and women, and personal lives as well.
With Teuns now off, Kyle just in front of him. We only have Hirschi and Healy left to start. Søren Crowell, good rider against the clock. He's a good rider all round, isn't he? But he's not sort of the traditional time trial specialist who's going to be very good at adopting a position. He's much more busy, isn't he?
I think it's you could say that expression, horses for courses, and I think this course suits them better. It's a sporting course. I know that I wasn't a time trial specialist, but I did well in sporting courses rather than just drag strips.
Mark Hirschi wearing the Best Young Riders jersey. Seems to have been around forever already, doesn't he? His teammate Tadej Pogačar, finally, by the way, moved on and away from the age where he could be wearing the white jersey just a couple of days ago. Happy birthday, Tadej. And here is Hirschi on his way. Second place. And he will see this is an opportunity over today and tomorrow to try and put his own hat in the ring to win a stage race, Brian.
Yeah, I was a bit worried for him because he was doing a lot of work on the climb yesterday for Brandon McNulty. And then he decided, instead of towing, Carapaz, McNulty decided when he attacked over the top of the climb just to give up. And it was an opportunist move for Hirschi. I think he might have been regretting it at the time, but it put him right in there with a chance in the general classification.
Here's Koen Bouwman coming up to the line. Have not seen anything of him on the bike, but that is a mightily good time trial. What a good rider this man is on his day. We've seen it in the Giro a couple of years ago. He's a solid domestique, but when he's let off the leash, he's strong. And there, only Victor Campenaerts, the former European champion, has been better than him.
Yeah, very few weaknesses in a team like that. That is this kind of super team at the moment, Jumbo-Visma. So, like you say, a couple of stage wins, King of the Mountains and the Giro d'Italia. And, that gave him plenty of confidence. And that's a solid time trial. When you look at the list today, you probably wouldn't have put Koen Bouwman in there with a chance of maybe a top three.
And again, we go back to the discussion that we often try to have on time trial day as well. Who gives it a go that very often and who's allowed to give it a go? Bouwman, probably not one of those riders who's allowed to be let off the leash in the time trial. Now here's Kluckels, popular rider given the fact he's from Luxembourg. And he's going to be right up there. That is a good ride from Kluckels. 40 seconds down on Campenaerts. Another man will be moving up in the GC. And here is the GC in play, in action right now. Leading a stage race for the first time in his professional career. It's Ben Healy from Ireland. So everybody's on the road. Go through the differences again in a minute. And these are the differences at the finish. Kampenaerts, Baumann, Kirsch, Klukels. Two Luxembourgers in the top 4, I should say. So Ben Healy in the general classification, leading, looking strong. Second place rider Mark Hirschi, well, he is at 19 seconds now, Brian.
It's close.
In third place you've got Dylan Teuns, sorry, just to complete the podium there, Israel Premier Tech. Teuns is at, what, 24 seconds. And here's Ben O'Connor. This is a really good ride. We saw it briefly at the intermediates, a third place, 26 seconds down, well ridden.
Yeah, good. Keeps him right in there with a good... an eye possibly in a podium finish here. So really, really good. Teuns, not maybe the best time trialist. I think he's finished of 57, I think it is. In a time trial, 57 time trials, he's finished top 10 4 times, so not kind of looking good for Teuns. But all Ben Healy has to do is just think that the bunch are chasing him from behind, because it seems to work for him. You know, in the individual road race stages, that he manages to have the kind of power to do what he did yesterday and hold off Teuns and Hirschi and, you know, the peloton chasing behind. So I think definitely he's got the form. He's got the ability. Let's see what happens. He's got that little bit of a buffer anyway, but as a neutral, I want to, you know, race into tomorrow's stage, and I don't want the GC to be sewn up today. So we have a good stage tomorrow, and possibly the bonuses coming into it, and we have a good hit out. But you know, I think for Ben Healy, I think he's got the power, and he's confident yesterday, wasn't he? That's something he doesn't lack. We talked about it, that he's got the confidence to deliver. Even if he loses a little bit of time, even if he doesn't win the time trial, I think it's going to be very hard to beat Kampenaerts. But you know, let these guys race and see what comes out at the end.
Felix Korschartner continuing his strong ride to the finish as well. And it's going to be good enough for second place for now, 22 seconds down. Former Austrian champ, showing he's still got it against the clock. And we'll be following Ben Healy. He's got the right old mix on here, haven't we? We've got the National Championship socks and gloves, and of course the skin suit provided by the organisers. And in these days of time trialling and gains and all the research, that's the hard thing for stage race leaders, isn't it? To know that you're not going to have your own skin suit. Welcome back to all of you watching on the television. With Richard Carapaz, who is not setting the world alight against the clock. Over a minute down at the intermediate check. Of course, his time will be compared to that of those in the general classification. Start the day in 9th place. It's his teammate who's leading, though, as well with Matteo Jorgensen here. Some good rides coming in behind Kampenaerts, but nobody really getting close yet. We will start to get perhaps an idea if somebody gets in touch at that intermediate check. Just one check for those of you turning in late and maybe you've been watching the European Championships or have been busy elsewhere on Saturday. A reminder that with all the racing on across all platforms and all the sport on at the moment, you can catch up on Discovery Plus and GCN Plus if you've missed anything or have other plans going into tomorrow as well. This is Søren Kragh, currently 4th in the general classification. At 43 seconds in that GC. Just telling our digital viewers that Between the top three, there are 24 seconds. Here's Ilan van Wilder, and there aren't too many seconds between him and Victor Campenaerts. 16, in fact. Fourth place provisional at the intermediate, but that's looking good for the GC, isn't it? We remind you that Campenaerts isn't involved in the general classification. Van Wilder, though, certainly is. He's in the top 10.
Yep, started at 8:55 seconds, and you know, with the riders around about him, we'll wait to see. Jorgensen, McNulty's next up there, Van Heels. Yeah, looking good for Van Wilder to move up from 8th, a little bit further up in the general classification.
Back with Søren Kraut. And now to the finish with Ulissi. And if that timing is right there, that's a mighty ride from Diego Ulissi.
I was thinking that myself.
We weren't shown anything of his ride from start to finish. But if that timing is correct, that's a second place, and that's some time trial.
Yeah, he was 18 seconds down at time check 1, but looking at Grosshartner, Ulissi, McNulty, that we always say in a stage race it's about kind of packing up the numbers and giving yourself opportunities.
And tomorrow, as long as McNulty can do the business today, US time trial champion is out there on the course somewhere. He wasn't one of the riders we were shown at the start by the host broadcasters, unfortunately. Shame, really, given the fact that, you know, he's one of the guys who could unseat Victor Campenaerts. And look at that provisional ranking. 20 seconds. We'll see how here she gets on. Talked about Ulissi. Is she up here, starting the day in second place? McNulty, the teammate, down in 6th at the moment. And Søren Kraut looking as powerful as he always is. It's all about the numbers, and we've got that wait, haven't we, on this course until we get to around 18, 19 minutes in, till we really find out where everybody is. And this is where Matteo Jorgensen is. 44 seconds down on Campenaerts. Will he be happy with that?
I don't think so. I think he's dropping down at the general classification. Van Wilder is kind of moving up. So there'll be a couple of riders trying to get a move up in the general classification. Ulissi as well, moving up. He started 13th. So we haven't seen Aramburu or Madouas cross that part. We'll just have to look at the times that we've got been given to us. But looks as if Jorgensen dropping down a little bit. Good ride there for Van Wilder. Yet to finish, of course, but at the checkpoint, looking good.
We continue to follow Hirschi, wearing that best young riders jersey.
We never saw it, and I don't know why, but we said Campenaerts, the only person that it could possibly challenge, I think I said it yesterday, the two people I'd concerned for Ben Healy was Brandon McNulty, this man here,
listening to you,
Søren Kraut, right? Two people. McNulty's gone through fastest at the first time check, 5 seconds quicker than Campenaerts.
And now, that's why they're starting to show you us. So Captain America is at it.
Oops.
Might be a second gone away there. But it makes it very interesting. And suddenly Victor Campenaerts, who would have been hoping that he was going to be allowed to at least take a stage win and then watch the GC play out behind him, will be worried for that stage win possibility.
Yeah, it's going to be close, Rob. I think in the end, may come down to just, you know, seconds. The good thing about it is Healy's already put in the performance yesterday and is 47 seconds in front of this man. So as long as he stays in front, but it does mean that, you know, if the GC is squeezed a little bit today, it makes it more interesting tomorrow.
Nolte here into the left. Tomorrow with that final circuit around Luxembourg City and the Kirchberg. An opportunity for plenty to change. We saw an entertaining end to the race around that circuit last year. Matthias Skjelmose holding on for victory after a good time trial. Ben Healy will be wanting to pull out more time if he can today, but McNulty Here's a man to watch to try and perhaps take time back on him. Here is Søren Kragh, who's closer in the general classification than McNulty. McNulty, by the way, starting at 47 seconds today, so has to come from further back. And Søren Kragh on that road, and it's not going to be long now until we find out how he's going here. How's Healy looking to you, Brian?
I think good. You know, really good. You know, you can just see from behind how small he is at the front. You know, from behind he's just that slight kind of arch back because he's a smaller rider, just up and down. You know, smaller riders find it difficult to get that, you know, completely flat. But the position of the helmet looks perfect to me, and you know, if he keeps that position, it's one of these things that you have to work in your core. You have to work in that position. It's not about just jumping on that bit. You have to hours and hours. That's not a natural position to be in and get the full power out. So for me, it looks good.
You're watching stage 4 of the Tour of Luxembourg. Søren Kragh and the Danish rider on your screen. 18 minutes tick by. Remember, just over 19 minutes the top time set so far at the intermediate, check by Brandon McNulty, who went 5 seconds quicker than the man who is leading the stage in the clubhouse. That's Victor Campenaerts. We're into the GC riders. Kragh is 4th place at the minute. Just behind him, but ahead on GC, 3rd place Turns, 2nd place Hirschi, leader Healy. Healy wearing the yellow jersey today.
I think by the looks of it, this is this last pitch up to the top of the climb. 19:14 was McNulty's time, so it does look as if Søren Kragh was not that far away.
Let's see if he's in the ballpark or not. Ticks beyond 19 seconds.
Oops.
But now this is McNulty. Looks as though he's on his way to catching his minute man, who's a fellow American, 2-minute man I should say. Fellow American, Matteo Jorgensen. That's some ride if that's the case. I tell you what, I tell a lie, it's Maxime Vauxhils, isn't it? Maxime Vauxhils who's ahead of him. I was looking the wrong way on the start sheet. That tells you that McNulty's going quickly. And Vauxhils, well, not doing what he wants to do here. There is McNulty in graphical lead. Ooh, wow.
That's a big one. In trouble with
That's
radio.
a blow.
Yeah.
That is a big blow. And that is Søren Kragh falling out of the general classification lightly.
Yeah, definitely. Might have to kind of concentrate, maybe trying to win the stage tomorrow. But I think he'll be really disappointed with this. I think, you know, on paper, maybe he should have been, you know, better in the time trial.
Here's Ilan van Wilder, who's been good in the time trial. So good, in fact, it's a provisional 4th place, and he'll be moving up into GC contention as well. Should our Quick Step have an iron in the fire for tomorrow? Have to wait to see the final layout of where everybody stands.
Well, he started at 55 seconds, and with that, McNulty's out there. And I've got belief in Ben Healy. He might be 4th, 5th, but the only thing, Rob, is he could be still going into tomorrow with about a 50-second deficit on this man. Which is going to be very difficult in the final stage. So the gaps might not be that close. It might be closer. Depends, you know, now that Søren Kragh, we started the day 43 seconds. Let's see what Dylan Towns and Hirschi, probably more Hirschi is the nearest at 19 seconds, but I'm pretty confident that Ben Healy can hold on to this jersey, but by how much? Because I don't think McNulty's going to pull out 47 seconds.
I've seen Kyle head up to that time check and surprise us, actually. Talking about a former stage winner in Paris-Nice on a time trial with a couple of hills in it like this. Dylan Turns would be next up. This is Hirschi, though, who's on his way up that hill. We haven't seen anything of Turns since he started, but Hirschi be the penultimate rider to take that time check. We watch him with intent. I think we'll be following this man's progress a little less closely now today. Here's Turns. Let's get the clock up. Not expecting great things of Turns in a time trial. I guess that's more or less where we expected him to be, isn't it?
Yeah, that's quite normal for Turns. The performances, the time trials he's ridden. But this is the man on form, and this is the man, can he beat Campenaerts?
Brandon McNulty in the final few hundred metres. National champion of the USA. Looking to try and take success overall here. His team rode brilliantly yesterday. He's trying to back it up today. The time's ticking down. He wants the stage win. Campenaerts looks on nervously. It will be a nervous watch. It goes by the second, and Campenaerts hangs on. It's gone down to less than a second. McNulty's in it for the yellow jersey, perhaps, over the next couple of days. We will see. But he has not been able to pull off victory today, despite all of the visible effort. Victor Campenaerts hangs on. And Mark Hirschi, McNulty's teammate, is trying to get another body in the mix for a UAE GC assault tomorrow.
You have to say they've ridden well so far with Groschartner, McNulty, Hirschi, Elise. They're going to have multiple numbers in the general classification. Okay, some of them will be a little bit kind of further back, maybe 40, 50, possibly a minute down. But you still have numbers, and you can still play that kind of numbers game. But let's see what Ben Healy can do this first time check. But I'm pleased for Campenaerts in a way, to be honest with you. I'm really pleased for him because it was a discipline that he excelled at. He went away, came back, he put everything into today. And boy, just, tenths of a second.
We'll get the full classified check in a minute. And normally we see the timing equipment update with the hundredths and thousandths of seconds. It was just ticking on, and there it is. They've given it as a second. Victor Campenaerts hanging on. And he would have been worried at the intermediate check there. Talking of intermediate check, the next couple of minutes are very important. We will see where Ben Healy is. We've already seen that Mark Hirschi's more or less in the game. Not necessarily to challenge Campenaerts here, but to see what's happening in the GC.
I think he's lost time, Rob, because he has to go around this corner and then up the other lip, and McNulty's set 19:14, so already equal in time. So he goes round this corner, turns left and goes up to that time check, so leaking a little bit of time, possibly not 47 seconds, so we've got a race in our hands now.
Well, here he is up over the hill. I remind you, at the start of the day, the man who was just a fraction of a second away, Brandon McNulty, set 19:14 there, was down on Ben Healy after yesterday. He was 47 seconds down. What's going to be the difference here? It's going to be over half a minute. It's going to be 33.5 seconds. So Healy, unless he wants to scare tomorrow, Brian, really needs to try and take some time back over the second bit of this course.
He's got 14 seconds in the back, 14 seconds. And you think that, everybody's kind of lost time in the second part of the course. I reckon it's going to be seconds in it. As a viewer and as a fan, I would like seconds into it, like I said before, that we go into tomorrow's stage with a good fight. But you have to think that UAE Team Emirates, even if Healy holds on to this, they have got so many numbers up there. You know, they're sitting in, what, second, third, fourth in the time trial today. They've got riders to deliver, you know, really put the pressure on EF Education Easy Post if Ben Healy holds on to the jersey. But as I said just a minute ago before that time check, we have got a race on our hands today and tomorrow.
So we've seen everybody go through the time check now, and they're all heading back to base. What the final time's going to be. Hirschi will be riding for every millisecond. He's giving himself his own opportunities. The organisers are certainly going to get what they wanted here. Whatever the differences may be from here in the next few kilometres, the general direction of travel is how they would have wanted it. A close race going into the final day. Ben Healy riding to try and keep hold of his yellow jersey. It's the first time he's ever led a stage race as a pro. Yesterday, a brilliant win from him. And again, we know he's good in the time trial, Brian. Just wonder how much yesterday's effort took out of him.
Well, it would have taken a lot out of him, but as we stand, the virtual general classification at the moment has Healy at that checkpoint in first, Mark Hirschi in second at 4 seconds, Brandon McNulty in third at 14 seconds. And we've still got the second half of this time trial to happen, so he could be ambushed by UAE, Team Emirates.
Here's Søren Kragh, who is the disappointment, I guess, up there in the top 5 at the minute. I think they would have expected more of him today. Looks to have improved a little bit in the second half, 47 seconds down on Campenaerts.
Not happy at all, is he?
But I think he, and certainly we, were expecting him to be not just up there in the GC, but yeah, you can see that. I was expecting him to fight for the stage today, Brian.
So was he. You can clearly see that, so was he. I think once you get the time check through his ear, I don't think it was a malfunction of his radio. I think as soon as he got that time check, it was rip that radio out of his ear, push it down his front, and he just clearly wasn't on a good day.
Here's Mark Hirschi again. I remind you, Tour de France stage winner. Seems an age ago. Back in his days at DSM. I'm back with Healy. Brian, if you're in the car following Healy here, of course you'll be getting times, you'll know he's down. What sort of messages are you giving him?
Do you know what? It depends on the rider and what the relationship is. That's the important thing, because the last thing is you want to kind of panic the rider. So what else can you do? Ben Healy's given it absolutely everything, and you know he knows what he has to do, and some riders like that. Just the technical stuff, don't encourage me, just give me the technical stuff. Other people need a roasting in the radio, and I think Ben Healy seems so confident. I think he's the sort of rider that just has to remain calm. If you told him he's now leading the GC by 4 seconds and 14 from Hirschi, that might panic him a lot. He just has to concentrate on his efforts. It is a balancing act in the team car behind, and it works in different ways with different riders and different sports directors as well.
Travelling at almost 60k an hour down the hill there. Enough to get him a fine if the road was open. Here's Dilleturns. Victor Campenaerts looking on, smiling, happy. You know his mate Turns isn't going to threaten him. A minute and a half down, and it seems as though Turns smiles away, knows that Campenaerts is going to take the win. Unless something special has been produced by Mark Hirschi in the second bit of this time trial. Time ticking on to 28 minutes. Top time at the finish so far, 28.06. There it ticks by. We know that Ben Healy was far too far down. So first thing has been decided, Brian Smith, and Victor Campenaerts wins the stage. There he is, smiling away. A delightful Campenaerts. And let's see what Hirschi can do. Remember, it's at 26.2 seconds down for him. Remind you, at the start of the day, Hirschi was in second place, wasn't he? Hirschi racing for UAE was 19 seconds down on Healy. Will there be a change in the yellow jersey? Not as it stands, but how is Healy getting on? 27 minutes and ticking here. Of course, one more minute before Campenaerts knows that he's won, but of course he also knows that Healy isn't getting there in that time. He's too far away. Victor Campenaerts is going to win the stage. It's going to be his 11th career victory. Of course, he won the Druivenkoers Overijse not too long ago. It's his first time trial win, Brian, for an amazing 4 years.
Looks like Ben Healy's going to do it. He has to finish, okay, more than 19 seconds, or less than 19 seconds behind the time of Hirschi, but I think the time we're looking for, Rob, is 29.51, and it looks as if he's going to be able to do that. So it's going to be close in the general classification, but Healy might be just about hanging on to that jersey.
So Victor Campenaerts winning the stage in Luxembourg. While your mark here, she's setting that 28.33. It's going to be touch and go this, you know. Remember, Hirschi at the start of the day was only 19 seconds down. 28.33 set by Hirschi. You're looking at 28.52 here. And it's ticking away. It's ticking down. 28.47. Campenaerts looks on. Healy's coming to the line. It's going to be tight, and he's going to lose the jersey, I think. He's going to lose the jersey. Ben Healy loses the yellow jersey going into the final day, but still sits with a great opportunity to attack the race tomorrow and win. We have quite the time trial that's taken place today, and we certainly have quite the menu to consume tomorrow lunchtime. Ben Healy looks up and loses the yellow jersey. The first time he's ever led a stage race. The delight on the day goes to Victor Campenaerts, who is victorious. First time in a time trial since before the pandemic. 2019 at Tirreno Adriatico, the last time he succeeded against the clock. Today was motivated. He knew the field. He knew it was the top dog. He was, by just a fraction of a second from Brandon McNulty. First, before we get into the GC, Brian, a word on Campenaerts and that 11th career success.
No, I'm pleased for him. He's a character of our sport, and to go away from a kind of discipline and look at others, and like you say, he must have looked at this field and thought, I'm in with a shout here. Okay, the American champion, Brandon McNulty, might have been a thorn in his side, but he pulled it out, and he's, I'm looking forward to the interviews. He's such a likeable character, not shy about sharing what his true thoughts are, and put in a big performance today and got the just rewards. But I feel for Ben Healy. It looks as if when they do the calculations, he could be out of that jersey by a matter of 3 seconds only.
Well, we'll see it all classified in just a moment's time. Campenaerts wins the stage today. Healy with that wonderful win yesterday. Again, I know there'll be some disappointed Ben Healy fans watching and thinking, oh no, he's lost the jersey. And yes, he has. But tomorrow, if those differences are like they are, anything could still happen. UAE know that as well. They have riders up there to challenge. They also, though, now have the leader's jersey. Great ride from McNulty. But for a fraction of a second could have won the stage. Honouring that Stars and Stripes jersey of the United States, but it's the former European champion. Who knows he's done it? His second win of the year. And here's how he did it. Campenaerts winning by a second from McNulty, 20 seconds from Ulissi, 22 to Grossschartner, three of the top four, there we go, 3 of the top 4 from UAE, 4 riders in the top 7. Van Wilder in 5th, Baumann, Hirschi, O'Connor, Kirsch, Klukels with that top 10 ride in the end. Not in the top 10 though, and losing too much time, losing the yellow jersey was Ben Healy. Good performance by O'Connor in there as well, Brian, I thought today. Baumann was impressive and Van Wilder up there too.
I think Hirschi is, for me, the kind of standout there. That performance he put in the time trial and yesterday as well throughout this race. And I think, again, another rider that's got a bit of a kind of purple patch at the moment coming to form and lead this race. I find it really difficult to see how EF Education can wrestle that off. Hirschi.
Congrats for your win. Was it a goal for you to win today? Because we know you are a time trial specialist, so yeah.
It's been a long time since I focused on a time trial. I wanted to perform good in this time trial because actually I wanted to ride a good general classification, but I had a total off day yesterday. The running to this Tour of Luxembourg was not very easy for me. My uncle, my godfather, Bob, he passed away right before the start of this tour, very unexpected, and that was very hard for me, and especially very hard for my dad, his brother, and he said there is no better way to go to Tour of Luxembourg and win a stage for him. So I'm very happy that I could win this time trial stage with Bob in my mind.
How nervous were you at the end, because it was so close with McNulty? Yeah, do you sit often in a hot seat and experience situations like this? So
I used to be often in the hot seat of a time trial, but it's been some years that I've actually done a good time trial, and I felt from the recon that I would be close to the victory, but I know those guys work very hard on the time trials because they have to have a good time trial for general classifications, and I don't train on the time trial nowadays all year long, but I still have a lot of experience with the hour record and multiple European championships and stuff like that. I focus on this time trial very hard. My girlfriend supported me extremely well the past months, and I'm very happy that I can have this victory. And for me, it's even nicer to have a close one with 1 second. Cycling is entertainment, and it needs to be close to be exciting.
Thank you very much, and congrats again.
Thanks.
He's always a wonderful listen, is Victor Campenaerts. One of the best accents in professional cycling, but I mean the content there. Yeah, all the best to him and his family, and Rest in peace, then, Bob. And Brian, aside from that personal strife and grief and all the things he must have been dealing with this week, there is, of course, too, everything we heard about how he trains, how he focuses on an objective. And we touched on it, didn't we? We said, it's impossible to be on it for the whole season. It's very easy for us and the fans to sit and question performances, and we do that because it's what we do. It's what we do. This is entertainment, Victor Campenaerts says, but yep, all the training just for this particular performance. This is how it changes the general classification. Mark Hirschi is the new leader of the Skoda Tour de Luxembourg going into the final stage. He has 2 seconds over his teammate Brandon McNulty. He has 3 seconds ahead of Ben Healy, who loses the jersey. The top 3 going into the final stage with bonus seconds all over the place are separated by just 3 seconds. It's a wonderful setup. But look at UAE again. They occupy 3 of the top 4 GC spots. Ulisses at 33 seconds, and the next rival is Ilan van Wilder at 33 in 5th place. Quite the setup then. For those of you watching right now on the television, we say goodbye to you. Thanks from Brian Smith and me, Rob Hatch. A reminder that we're back with that close final stage tomorrow, and anything can happen. Make sure you join us. Goodbye. And for those of you on our digital platforms, we will be trying to bring you the yellow jersey and Victor Campenaerts' moment on the top of the podium as well. And just before we went to have a look at the general classification there, talking about how much Campenaerts came and reconned and then trained for it. He's so good when he gets a goal, isn't he? He's one of those riders who is capable of doing things autonomously on his own, without the team controlling everything, Brian.
I think it shows the focus and the mentality side of our sports. He mentioned European Championship, World. It's concentration and knowing your body, and you try and concentrate for an hour. It's not easy. Brian. Yeah, exactly. I know you were concentrating for 90 minutes in a game, and unfortunately you lost. But at the end of the day, my commiserations for yourself and Blackburn today. But it's the mental side of our sport, and the fact that his granddad passed, that might have been a deciding factor. That might have been that kind of extra kind of motivation. I still think he would have given it all, but it's just all these kind of small details that you have to consider in time trial. It's a lonely place. I know they've only been out there for less than half an hour, but it's total focus and dedication. And he also mentioned the fact that GC contenders have to do the climbing days, do their speed days, do their time trial days, all this sort of stuff. Well, others don't have to do that. They have to be a kind of all-rounder as a GC guy, but he has gone away from that kind of preparation. But like he said, he's got experience, he's got that in his locker, but to concentrate in these kind of time trial efforts, it's you have to kind of really focus on them. You have to spend hours and hours on your time trial bike.
Yeah, it's such a specialist discipline. We touched on it earlier on when referring to the 3rd division teams, and not just the training but the money involved as well, the research and development. A lot has gone into today's stage win for Victor Campenaerts. He didn't just turn up and get on his bike. He's done a great job, and that ride too from Ulisses, that's one of the top time trials I think I've seen him put in. UAE hunting in packs.
When you look at it, Rob, UAE had a cracker of a day today. In 1st position with Hirschi, 2nd position McNulty, Ulisses in 4th position. You can't forget Groschart now. It's 6:37 seconds. They have got 4 riders. They've mugged the field here in the general classification. What can they do? And I really hope a lot of these teams come out fighting tomorrow. It's going to be very hard to crack UAE, but what a stage we're going to have tomorrow afternoon. These seconds could come up for grabs, and I'm pretty sure that EF Education, certainly Ben Healy, if he does go down, he'll go down with a fight.
This was the moment that McNulty who was 5 seconds ahead at the intermediate check, saw the stage victory slip away. And I also love that sort of content in Campenaert's victory speech there, talking about cycling being entertainment. He's right, you know. He is right. I know that a lot of viewers watch cycling for different things, and you know, not everybody likes the drama and the entertainment, but that is what puts bums on seats.
It does, and he is highly entertaining. Maybe a little bit subdued in his delivery, but he was clear and understandably, maybe because his thoughts may have been with someone else, but it would have been nice to have a heart rate monitor on him in the hot seat as he saw Brandon McNulty. I think that Brandon McNulty diving round that road defect might have been the difference.
Smiles behind in the car as they could see their man riding into the hot seat. But he still had a while to wait. Tremendous stuff from Campenaerts. Again, first time trial victory for 4 long seasons. We touched on the reasons for that early on, that he's been preparing for different things. He knows that. But he chugged away today. Quicker than anybody else, but only just. Wasn't a supersonic time trial today, was it, with all the specialists? It was more steam powered, but Campenaerts, the best of those who were there. UAE Emirates Challenge very much on the rails, as Brian was saying. What a day as a team for them. Occupying those top positions in the GC. 3 of the top 4 from the same team now. 4 in the top 10. The same went to those on the stage too. Pétange has put on a good show. Well done. Honouring the Union Cycliste Pétange local cycling club, this year celebrating their 100th anniversary of foundation. Oh, we'll wait and see if we can get a podium for you. Looks as if the VIPs are too busy enjoying themselves for the minute. Understandable. We thought, given that it was a time trial, that they'd be up there and straight into the festivities.
Just watch this start, Rob. I don't think Brandon McNulty was overly happy. Hold.
Is that his fault for going early, or...?
Possibly, yeah. He was being held back because he's maybe just jumping the gun. So when you see that, you're happy that Victor Campenaerts won because he's trying to get a false start.
It's difficult, isn't it? I mean, unless you see everything in sync, you don't know if the count was wrong, if it's him that's made the mistake. There's all sorts of stuff that... But you imagine if he is being held back, it's because he's not allowed to go yet.
Yeah. He knew that this was a time trial effort. If he wanted to win the race, he had to go all in. And even if it was trying to kind of steal a march at the start,
he could still win the race. He's 2 seconds behind his teammate. Of course, tactically, UAE will hold all the cards tomorrow. I mean, how do they play it then, Brian?
Just like you say, they can afford to let a breakaway go and mop up the bonus seconds and just make sure that Ben Healy stays where he is. I would have loved it if Ben Healy had kept it that way, that you would have to fought tomorrow. That's what I was hoping for as a neutral, and I said it in the stage, but it just means it's very difficult.